My name is Michelle Spansel. It's a joy to present today. I currently serve as an educational facilitator at a charter school here in Southern California. I also am an academic language therapist, so I work privately with students who struggle with reading. One of my favorite pioneers in the study of reading is Louisa Moats, and she contributed to the resource Teaching Reading is Rocket Science. And she says we must understand as our premise that children are hardwired for language, but reading is a learned skill that is not natural or easy for most children. There's been a lot of research that tells us the complexity of learning to read. One of the things that we must understand is that for a robust reading program, it's essential that we conclude 5 components of reading instruction, and that includes phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. And many researchers also today add spelling or the process of encoding as a 6th vital component in literacy instruction. The first, phonemic awareness, includes the awareness of the alphabetic principle that each letter has a name and a sound, and those letters and sounds work together to make words. Phonemic awareness is the ability for a student to break apart sounds or manipulate sounds in words. So think of phonemic awareness as moving down a slide as you break apart the sounds in the word cat. So I like to actually use a picture of a slide to help a student understand that there are 3 sounds in the word cat, and a beginner learner could place 3 tools or markers down that slide to match the 3 sounds in the word cat. One of my favorite resources for daily drills for phonemic awareness is the book titled Sounds and Letters for Readers and Spellers by Jane Fell Green. I also wanted to help readers understand that a robust phonics program includes instruction in the 6 syllable types, including open and closed syllables, R-controlled syllables, vowel consonant E syllables, vowel team syllables, and final stable LE syllable types. This includes instruction in all 26 letters. We would call this the phonics part of reading. We need to understand that in the traditional classroom, these need to be taught, but especially for the dyslexic student who would need to learn to touch and name the alphabet strip, review basic keywords and sounds daily, mark up words for identifying each part of the word, and then decode words and mark syllable types for reading predictions. I like the program Foundations by Barbara Wilson. That actually includes a magnetic letter tile board and other things like a gel board for our students who need to have hands-on resources to allow that learner to learn their phonic sounds. Fluency also includes reading with accuracy, prosody, and speed. Fluency is the ability to read as well as we speak and to make sense of the text without having to stop and decode each word. One of the things we do to reinforce fluency during oral readings and repeated oral readings, we can use the support of what I like to show, the Fluency Buddy. This is my little Fluency Buddy that I help my learners learn when to stop, when to pause, and when to read in a normal and fluent pattern, not too fast and not too slow. I like to hang my Fluency Buddy in my reading center to refer when a learner needs to stop, pause, and go. And I also model what a reader should sound like when reading a sentence that ends with a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point. Understanding word meanings and word relationships is critical for a learner to learn in the area of vocabulary. About 10% of all weak readers demonstrate a specific weakness in language comprehension, even though their word recognition skills are strong. So that's why vocabulary instruction is essential. I like to use creative tools like thinking about word parts and teaching prefixes and roots and suffixes like puzzle pieces in language that help the dyslexic learner, but also the traditional learner grasp and predict word meanings. And we can think about those word parts and actually display them on a vocabulary word wall to show the vocabulary words that the learner has learned in literary texts. When we come to comprehension, we think about it as understanding what has been read or reading for meaning. It's a complex cognitive process, and the learner needs instructional tools like story sticks, or I call them comprehension sticks, to ask comprehension prompts like, what part of the story was your favorite? Or what story is the most part that you like? Where does the story take place? Which character is most like your? What is the most important event of the book? And then, of course, there are rules for spelling. Effective teachers will recognize where their students are in reading and writing development and will tailor their instruction accordingly. That's what Louisa Moat says. And in spelling, we have to teach our kids the rules that govern the English language. We can do that and even draw or keep track in a book of our spelling rules as we learn them. And that makes a great resource for students who need to have that reminder when they come back for writing. One of the things we have to think about as teachers is progress monitoring. Progress monitoring is an assessment technique that tells teachers how and when to adjust curriculum so that the students meet benchmark goals by the end of the year. So how do we do this? I keep track of my students' phonemic awareness drills by marking errors in units of practice each time I meet with a student for their warm-up. Or I also keep a running record in the systematic structured literacy lessons for phonics so that I know what lessons have been taught and when the student has demonstrated mastery. I have that running record in the student's notebook for their daily instruction. I also utilize fluency benchmark checks through the Read Naturally program for each student to reflect growth for fall, winter, and spring reports. I love to use graphic organizers to demonstrate mastery in the understanding of vocabulary in text, literature, or group practice. And for writing, I use a wall display to demonstrate the process and the progress of writing, not just the published copy, but actually the pre-writing, the brainstorming, the editing, and then finally the published copy. Some ways that we as reading and literacy specialists can help support students and teachers, we have a couple. One, we can share hands-on activities and resources with educators. We can model structured literacy lessons in the classroom. We can meet regularly with classroom teachers or PLC teams to discuss the components of reading. And we can provide professional development for reading instruction and also meet with small groups of struggling readers. One online resource that will help teachers support struggling readers and writers is the Florida Center for Reading Research. They have pre-K to 5th grade level student activities ready to copy and implement in the classroom. These include activities for practice in phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension, all parts of our robust literacy instruction.